At exactly the hour when the world sleeps, a sitting president was ripped out of power, not by voters, not by protests, but by helicopters cutting through the dark skies of Caracas. After months of rising tension, the United States launched a shock-and-awe midnight operation inside Venezuela, codenamed Operation Absolute Resolve. U.S. Special Forces stormed Caracas and captured President Nicolás Maduro and his wife in the dead of night. This was no impulsive strike. For months, CIA operatives tracked Maduro's movements, while Delta Force commandos rehearsed the assault inside a full-scale replica of his fortified residence. Shortly before 11 p.m. on January 3, 2026, President Donald Trump gave the final order. More than 150 U.S. aircraft, including F-35 stealth fighters, F-22 Raptors, and B-1 bombers, struck military targets across Caracas. One major objective was Fuerte Tiuna, the heart of Venezuela's military command. As explosions shook the capital, U.S. commandos breached Maduro's fortress-like compound, complete with steel doors and a panic room. Blowtorches were ready, but they were never needed. Overwhelmed, Maduro surrendered around 2 a.m. before sealing himself inside. By 3:20 a.m., helicopters lifted him and the First Lady toward a U.S. Navy ship offshore. Hours later, Trump posted an image of Maduro blindfolded in custody, confirming a geopolitical earthquake. Venezuelan air defenses were neutralized, radars jammed, anti-aircraft batteries destroyed. Analysts called it a masterful precision strike. The operation ended within hours. By dawn, Venezuela woke up without its leader, and the world was left asking a single question: what now? To understand why this happened, whether it was legal, and what it means for global politics, this analysis is presented by your instructor, Naila Khan. Nations do not abduct presidents without reason, and Washington had more than one. Officially, the Trump administration framed the raid as a long-overdue strike against a criminal narco-state. U.S. prosecutors accused Maduro of running a massive drug trafficking network that flooded the United States with cocaine. Since 2020, Washington had branded Venezuela a state sponsor of narcotics, placing a $50 million bounty on Maduro. Under Trump's maximum pressure campaign, the U.S. deployed the USS Gerald R. Ford to the Caribbean and targeted drug-running vessels allegedly linked to Venezuelan cartels. Washington refused to recognize Maduro's 2024 re-election, widely condemned as fraudulent, calling him a dictator, not a legitimate president. But beneath law enforcement rhetoric lay deeper strategic interests. Venezuela possesses the world's largest proven oil reserves, over 300 billion barrels. Critics argue the operation was equally about oil, especially after Maduro aligned Venezuela with China, Russia, and Iran. Maduro himself claimed the real objective was to seize Venezuela's oil wealth. Trump openly revived Monroe Doctrine-style thinking, labeling Venezuela a hub for drugs, weapons, and hostile foreign actors. Removing Maduro in this view would weaken America's adversaries, strengthen U.S. influence, and play well domestically, particularly among Venezuelan exile communities in Florida. Justice, ideology, oil, and power all collided in a single night. The bombs stopped falling, but the legal firestorm had only just begun. The capture of Maduro triggered immediate outrage over international law. Critics argued the U.S. had violated Venezuelan sovereignty by abducting a sitting head of state without UN authorization. Even close allies expressed discomfort, warning that the operation set a dangerous precedent. The Trump administration defended the strike as a law enforcement action against a narco-terrorist regime, bypassing Congress and rejecting claims of aggression. Legal experts strongly disagreed. UN Special Rapporteur Ben Saul dismissed the self-defense argument as complete nonsense, calling the operation an illegal armed attack under the UN Charter. Oil quickly took center stage. Venezuela's production had collapsed under sanctions and mismanagement, yet its reserves remained immense. Trump openly stated that U.S. oil companies would rebuild Venezuela's oil sector, extracting massive wealth. This blunt admission reinforced accusations that the intervention was driven as much by black gold as by justice. Markets reacted cautiously, but analysts warned of major long-term consequences, reshaping OPEC, energy markets, and Latin American geopolitics. What looked like a tactical triumph increasingly resembled a norm-shattering gamble. Removing a president is easy, controlling the aftermath is not. Inside Venezuela, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez declared herself acting president with the backing of the Supreme Court and military leadership. Defense officials denounced the U.S. attack as state terrorism and demanded Maduro's release. The streets told a divided story. Pro-Maduro supporters rallied angrily, chanting "No blood for oil," while many opposition supporters quietly celebrated, fearful of retaliation. Abroad, Venezuelan exiles erupted in open joy, hoping for a long-delayed return home. Globally, reactions were explosive. Mexico, Brazil, Spain, and others condemned the operation. China and Russia accused Washington of hypocrisy and lawlessness. Some leaders, like Argentina's president, openly celebrated Maduro's fall, while others expressed relief mixed with alarm. Diplomatically, the strike strained alliances and reignited old debates about interventionism and empire. The world faced an uncomfortable dilemma: celebrate the removal of a dictator, or condemn the method used to remove him. The dictator is gone, but the future is dangerously uncertain. Maduro now sits in a New York federal jail, awaiting trial on drug trafficking and weapons charges. His lawyers argue head of state immunity, while U.S. prosecutors counter that Washington never recognized him as president. Trump initially claimed the U.S. would temporarily run Venezuela before scaling back under pressure. Meanwhile, Maduro loyalists still control the military and bureaucracy, creating an unstable power vacuum. Possible futures range from a negotiated transition with elite defections and democratic rebuilding, to a worst-case collapse into civil conflict, cartel violence, and humanitarian catastrophe. Foreign powers are watching closely. Sanctions remain. Borders tighten. Diplomacy strains. Venezuela now stands at a historic crossroads. The raid ended one chapter, but opened another far more uncertain one. Whether this moment leads to renewal or ruin will shape not just Venezuela, but the future rules of global order itself. What happened in Venezuela is not just history, it's a warning about where global power politics is heading. If this analysis helped you see beyond headlines and understand the forces shaping our world, support this channel by liking the video, subscribing, and turning on the bell icon so you don't miss what comes next.